What's up, everybody? What's good? This is Kev JB here. In this particular video, I don't really have any news articles or videos in the news to share to discuss a particular topic. This is actually what I call my Chit Chat Saturday videos that I've just recently started. And I want to use this to talk about something that I think affects many people, and I know it affects me, and it may be something that affects you too. We're going to be talking about anxiety, overthinking, and ultimately what this is really about at its core, which is fear, possibly a fear of greatness, an aspect of perfection that highlights your fears and make it seem as if you're not enough, you're not doing enough towards your goals, and doing it scared and choosing not to be afraid because it's going to matter not only right now, presently, but what it's also going to mean for your future, and the importance of you being able to really look after yourself and doing the things that challenge you into being more independent, not just personally, but perhaps even politically as well, with some of the things that we have been seeing, particularly with FEMA, the things that have been happening with the ports. It's just something for you to really take to heart and in mind, okay? Before we continue, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like, hit the thumbs up button. If you're somebody who has not subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe. Make sure you click the notification bell so the way you are alerted every time there is a new video in place. So I want to talk about anxiety because this is something that I have been dealing with a lot. I've always been somebody who's an overthinker. I always think before I act, and oftentimes it keeps me from being courageous in the very things that I want and need to do. And the highlight of that kind of really came out in my 20s. I know that for me, there were a lot of things that I made a lot of mistakes and regrets in life about what it is that I could and should have done, particularly during and even after college. And I started kind of getting into this particular rut because of almost kind of like not even recognizing it, kind of like punishing myself because things didn't work out and because of wanting to achieve some stuff and wanting to do some things that ultimately didn't really work out as I had hoped. And there's a lot of disappointments along the way, a lot of failures, a lot of things that I could have been more upfront in trying to do that I didn't really do because either I didn't have the money or because things just weren't working out as far as career choices and things like that. And so, not realizing over time, I was starting to develop this idea of inadequacy that was really highlighted in my fears, my anxieties, and my worries. And as I started doing different things, I started recognizing, and especially because when I was younger, I was extremely introverted. To this day, I'm still very much introverted. I don't really go out a whole lot, and I don't. I like my own company, but I find myself really enjoying my own company a lot more than being around other people at times. It just kind of works out that way. Sometimes you just have that personality or just you'll have those experiences. And not realizing that it really kept me from being as ambitious as I would like, especially with social media, always being invested in the social media. Social media kind of has this way of in inviting you into experiences virtually without really going into doing those type of things physically and having those experiences and encounters that require you to grow and connect with people. And so over time, not even realizing it, because I was not really doing as much as I would like physically and doing a lot of stuff online, it made it very, very easy to build a sense of anxiety and even a sense of fear when it came to start doing things that require, being more social and being more connected with people. And what ended up happening was I've always tried to encounter that, but I've always done it from the standpoint of just not wanting to be afraid and just trying to reach goals, trying to achieve goals without really dealing with the heart of the problem. And the heart of the problem was the fear of inadequacy, the fear of not feeling as if I was enough towards achieving certain goals because of my own experiences with failure and certain disappointments. Now, as you all know, I took the opportunity to do a fast last month. It lasted for the entire month. I had a 14, each day was 14 hours of just dry fast from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Went through all of that. And in the process of it, in the middle of it, I started to go through some certain experiences that were really triggering me, that were really upsetting me. And what ended up happening was I wanted to eat. I think I've explained this before, but I'll share it. I think I'll share it again if I haven't shared it on this platform. I may have erased the video. But one of my ways to cope has been through eating, and I have overeaten in the past, and I'm still trying to control that now. After this fast. But one of the things that I felt as if I always had a sense of control over was with food. And so whenever I would feel stressed out or feel upset or angry, I would always go out, get some certain snack and just be willing to just gorge or stuff myself with those foods until there was nothing left. And what was worse, that I always felt hungry. Now, you know how the food industry is, having certain things that are very addictive. They can feed into your cravings and they can feed into your coping mechanisms through insecurities that you may have. So one of my guilty pleasures is through granola. I love the Love Crunch granola specifically, which has strawberry, raspberry, and chocolate bits inside. One of my favorites. And I would just stuff myself with that. I would buy bags every single day because there was always this euphoria that I would feel every time that I would eat. Whenever I would go out or whenever I would just eat something, there would be something about that particular food that would make me feel so good and make me feel like a sense of recharge or almost kind of like a high, and not really recognizing where was that leaning towards. For example, I realized that one layer of that was due to my mother passing away 2007. Like that was 17 years ago now, and not really dealing with that, not really coping with that. And then those other disappointments that came along as well. And so not really taking the time to really deal with those levels of emotional turmoil, those stressors, things that was just not working out to my own advantage in life. I found myself trying to use food as a way to cope with those particular issues and trying to cope with feeling like a failure or feeling as if things weren't working out. So because things weren't working out, I had a reason to be upset. I had that constantly on my mind, and it drove me to overthink and be in anxiety just from the standpoint of not wanting to fail, wanting things to always work out, and kind of building myself into having this ideal goal that I must reach in order to be like somebody. However, the downside of that was it made it very difficult to accomplish anything because I still hadn't dealt with the real issue, which was with myself, with my own thoughts, my own emotions, and things like that. So this fast, the previous fast that I was on last month, and really having to deal with those issues, those triggering issues, especially as I was helping with coordinating an event, as well as helping with volunteering with the youth group that I'm a part of. Shout out to LOE, Lifestyle Empowerment. But with the youth group that I was a part of, there was just a lot of stuff that was just coming up that things just wasn't. Because of things weren't working out as I hoped, particularly when it came to the event, I found myself kind of stressing out and wanting to eat. Now, because I'm fasting, I'm dry fasting, there's no food, there's no drink, anything like that. I had to start really dealing with the root of what was going on within me. And the root is there was a lot of shame, there was a lot of inadequacy, there was a lot of insecurity that was involved in that. And I had to start really driving in deep on facing that with the problem for what it was, or the issue for what it was, so that way that I can move on with the fast, because I wouldn't be able to cope with anything. And even if I could eat, I still had certain restrictions on the time to eat and how to eat and everything like that. So I had to deal with those things head on. And so what I ended up learning in the process, especially now after the fast, getting myself back to eating as normally as I used to, and now coming back onto YouTube. But funny enough, it was during the fast that actually brought me back onto doing YouTube again, especially, since I took a hiatus from doing things because I was overthinking and trying to figure out how I wanted to come back, or if I ever wanted to come back from doing content or making videos again or live stream. How was I going to do that? For me, I'm totally fine from not being seen, which I'm noticing more and more that it's going to be very challenging for me because there's a whole lot of stuff that requires me to be up front. But in the past, I've always been a shy person. I have always been someone who has never been truly and not not just simply ambitious, but somebody who wasn't truly challenged enough to step out into the limelight and to step out into things that required me to put myself out there and possibly fail or even possibly succeed and see what could happen. And in the process of that, those were the things that aided in my anxiety and my fears and caused me to overthink, because all I wanted to do was do a great job. And even with that, there was times where I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to show up. I didn't want to be somebody that people needed to rely on, because I did not want to do a bad job. And I just wanted somebody else to do the job. Or, why not somebody else? Like, why is it like it could be somebody else that could do it and they just choose not to do it, or may not want to do it. And there's certain things always fall back on me. Some of that comes from growing up. I grew up as a preacher's kid, and so there's a lot of responsibility that are just put on you that has nothing to do with, whether or not that's something that you're even meant to do, but you have to do it because your parents are in ministry and things like that. And so there's always been the constant need to perform. And so if I don't perform, or if I don't perform well, what ends up happening to myself? How will people look at me? How will people view me? All those things that come from people pleasing, it starts forming from there. And then for me, I'm a natural diplomat. I'm always thinking about people pleasing others or trying to appeal to others anyway. And so you add that layer on top of that, it makes you very invulnerable to criticism and very vulnerable to not wanting to be someone who could be judged for doing something that is not the ideal. So in working through those things, and even coming back with YouTube, bringing back a different form of the content that I had done a few months ago, I really had to keep learning how to show up anyway without matching up to an ideal. To bring that home, I had done a seminar or a webinar where I was speaking about the importance of being able to show up and do it scared. Now, that title, Do It Scared, came from a sermon that I watched from Tasha Cobbs Leonard. Some of you all may know of her as a gospel singer, but she was also someone who is a pastor along with her husband. And she visited New York and she did that particular sermon, Doing It Scared, or Doing It Anyway. And so I have just embraced the idea of just simply doing things anyway, because whether or not you're judged, you still have a responsibility to do certain things that people may like, people may not like, but you still got to be able to not just simply exist in life, but you have to be willing to show up and do it scared. Do it, be courageous anyway. What they say, that's like they say, like, courage is not the absence of fear, but doing it in spite of your fears. And so I've had to learn to be courageous, and you can't really find your own voice in anything. You can't really find yourself in the process of just wanting to be hidden, or wanting to be anonymous, or wanting to do things in a perfect way, because you're not perfect. You just got to be able to just show up and do it anyway. And you can figure out things along the way by making it a journey instead of just trying to reach things from an ideal standpoint, making a journey your own instead of making it somebody else's ideal of what ideal or destination of what is the right thing to be or to do or to become, and things like that. So I brought that to you all because I've noticed somebody out there who may be struggling with overthinking, who may be struggling with anxieties and worries. You may be someone who there are a lot of things that didn't work out as you would hope, and you're kind of left feeling as if you're a shell of yourself, because everything that you have put upon your identity or your brand or your actions or whatever plans you may have it may not have come through as well as you would have liked them to. And you're kind of like figuring out what is that you're going to do now. And so when you fail or when things don't work out as well as you may want them to, it's very easy to just lay in the failure, to identify yourself with the failure and not ever doing it again. But in the process, and you identifying yourself as such, you make it very challenging to break through the barrier to want to succeed. The success that you are wanting and looking for is never going to come in a perfect package. It's never going to come in not failing at certain things, especially if you're doing something for the very first time or you have very little experience in doing things in a certain fashion. Everything finds its way to be a learning experience over time. And you got to be able to see everything that you're doing as part of such experience. If you're falling down, you got to get yourself back up. And if it seems like it's too embarrassing to get back up, you just got to be willing to do it anyway. You got to be willing to show up. There are so many people on this platform that have failed time and time again, and they get back up. They figure out what works, and they make it work. They had certain career goals that they had in mind that didn't work out, and they find their way here, and they make millions. But some people, they come here, and it doesn't work out as well as they hope. They don't make millions. They don't make thousands of dollars, right? They don't have thousands of subscribers, but they are able to find something that works for them in a job or some type of hustle. And so you got to just be able to go through the journey. Everything is not going to match your ideal. And oftentimes what happens with anxiety and overthinking is that it becomes more about trying to meet goals, meet destinations, meet certain things that we feel as if is going to be the absolute thing that's going to give us success, satisfaction, and the boost that we need for our self-worth, our self-esteem, and perhaps even connection with people. And then when things don't work out, it's very easy for us to want to run away and feel as if, everything was a failure. I don't want to end up doing this anymore. But the truth of the matter is, if you ever want to be somebody who is a success in life, you got to be able to treat success as an investment, not a destination that you're entitled to. It has to be an investment that you're willing to work towards every single day, perhaps every single minute or second if necessary. But you got to be able to put in the work. Overthinking is not going to do the work for you. Overthinking is just going to keep you in a bubble where your mind does the work like a hamster wheel, like a hamster caught in a hamster wheel. But you're not putting yourself out there to really see and experience what could actually work, what could tangibly and practically be effective for you. Everything comes from the standpoint of being in development, putting action towards the development of things. You got to be willing to see everything that you're doing as an investment for something better or something that could lead to a more successful outcome. Success can be planned, but oftentimes, and there may be some luck that comes with that too, when it comes to success, but there is no success without action. There is no success without putting things one step at a time. Are you somebody that's going to be willing to do the work with your actions, or are you going to put all that work into your mind through anxiety and overthinking and your fears controlling and manipulating you into staying still? You got to be willing to do it scared. You got to be willing to be courageous. Now, the thing about courage is that courage is not necessarily about, again, it's not about the absence of fear. Rather, it's from the standpoint of doing things because it's what you feel you're wanting to do, you feel drawn to doing. Courage in many regards, I won't say it's emotional, but it's something that it's got to be able to draw you to not only do it, but to go through it. And now you see the thing that says, the title that says doing it scared, but really you want to be where the fear does not control you, but you're actually operating through the courage and just simply doing it anyway. For me, to even want to be here right now and just talk to you all without feeling as if I am rambling, I'm hoping that everything that I'm saying is making sense to you. But to be in this position right now is actually a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm not somebody that talks a lot. So to be where I am talking about things in my mind, that is even talking about this topic or even talking about things that are going on within the world and how things are connected from how I see things. It's not very easy. When I was younger, I was somebody that was kind of because so I grew up with a much older sister. We are like over a decade apart, and so growing up, I didn't just feel like I was the youngest. I was like the very youngest, and so sometimes whenever I would say something, it would often feel as if it's just kind of like a little kid talking, and it was actually one of the things that, if I really look back on it, it affected my esteem to want to share stuff or to feel as if I can go for certain things. But realizing it now, how I internalize that is my responsibility, and I can internalize a whole bunch of things um, in so many different ways because that is a choice. That's part of living. That's part of, especially becoming an adult and especially just living your own life. We're all able to internalize something. When we're young, we don't realize how we may be looking at things, but now that we're older and we start making choices, start being more cognizant of it. It's up to you to make the decision, the courageous decision, to undo those things that you once thought and to put yourself in a different mindset and a different perspective so that way you can go out and achieve the things that you want and need to do in life. Anxiety and overthinking many times, it just simply comes from the standpoint of feeling as if you're thinking about it over time is and putting yourself in an experience in your mind, then you're feeling as if you're doing something, or it kind of makes it seem as if you're doing something. But nothing will change until you start putting yourself into action. And that's why I say, do it afraid. Feel the fear and do it anyway by using your courage to put yourself out there. All right. And so this actually is going to lead into something else I want to talk about. And this is talking about the rising independence. I so where we are right now as a country, I so I would say a few months ago I had that particular sentence that came out just in my intuition, that the rising independence. And so I didn't really have an understanding of what that meant until the whole situation with port strikes and FEMA. And following this YouTuber named CEO Drive Her, Kimberly Bradley, who has been teaching a lot about being able to build a small business and having land and having collateral and things like that, and just kind of following economists or the personal financiers on YouTube and things like that. But particularly when it came to the FEMA situation and seeing that this government has given billions of dollars to migrants, but leaving the people here in the United States with little under $800 for the damages that have been occurred with Hurricane Helene, and then the port strikes that occurred, and listening to that Harold Daggett video of him touting his muscle of being able to cripple the economy, to cripple these companies, when ultimately who was crippling would be the consumer. It really kind of got me into the mindset of this is the time to really start thinking outside of the box. And there's a lot of stuff that we may not know how to do, and there's some stuff that we may feel as if we are scared to do. But this is going to be one of those times in which you're really going to have to consider being in the standpoint of being courageous with the things that you're doing, with the things that you want to pursue, and particularly looking after yourself. Looking at how I remember looking at that Ron DeSantis video in Florida, where he says that he has learned not to look up to the federal government to look after its citizens, but he has been one of the ones that has been sending rescue planes and stuff like that, or over to North Carolina and Tennessee and things like that, because he knows that it's in their hands, in our hands, really, as Americans, to have to look out for ourselves in case this administration shows that it cannot. And I'm seeing as though that is going to have to be the reality as we start moving forward into this new phase of America. I have no idea how the election will turn out. I still have the belief that Kamala will find some way to be in office. I don't know. If things don't work out that way, I'll be the first one to say, look, I said this, I was wrong. Please forgive me and all that type of stuff, right? But given the situation with FEMA and now this new New York mayor who has been a replacement for Eric Adams, his name is Jumaine Williams. Somebody who we have not, well, I can't say we, but the New Yorkers there have not voted in, but he is said to be a replacement while there is a special election that's being held in 80 days. It says a lot. It says a lot about a whole lot of stuff about where we are moving forward to as citizens. And I'm encouraging each of you to start taking measures into your own hands, however you can, or finding some community that will help you. There are a lot of things that you are going to have to be willing to do outside of the comfort zone. There's going to be things that you're going to have to do to prepare yourself for what is to come. I have no idea what's up ahead. I do know that things in this country are beginning to change. And if you are not somebody who is able to connect with people who are helping you to adjust to a lot of things changing, particularly as citizens, you might be looking for some trouble up ahead. I know I said this before with the new American dream, but you're really going to have to be in the mindset of figuring out what your American dream is going to be like, because if not, it's going to be a nightmare, especially if you're in these liberal states where they have all these migrants housed in certain towns and things like that, in certain cities, and you're being completely disregarded by your governor, or you're being disregarded by a mayor, or whatever the case may be. You could be looking for some serious issues up ahead if you're not taking measures for yourself and looking out for yourself, or being around people who make it a priority to look out for you however they can, because this federal government is already showing you that it is not going to do that. So speaking of, and getting back to this, anxiety, greetings, Kia, good seeing you. Getting back to the idea of anxiety and overthinking, there's going to be a lot of stuff that is going to be pushing you to think differently. I do apologize if my network is looking a little crazy right now. For some reason, my Wi-Fi is going to act up, so I apologize. But this is going to be one of those times where you're going to have to really start pushing yourself from anything that is requiring you to think differently. That's pushing you to think, from what you may know as reality, what you may know to be the state of normal for yourself. Now is going to be the time where you're going to have to do a lot of things that may be scary for you. There may be some things you're going to have to learn. There are going to be some things that are going to that's probably going to stress you out to have to learn. But you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to start doing it more and more often. I have no idea how things are going to turn out. I'm going to keep saying that. I don't know, but I do know this. It's better to be safe than sorry. So if you're somebody who's looking at homesteaders, you're looking at preppers, you're looking at people who are checking out the economy, and you're making sure that you're getting yourself a few steps ahead. If you are somebody who is you're planning to move somewhere, and you may be moving somewhere where you may notice that there is a migrant situation, you need to figure out what you need to do to make sure that you are safe while you're making your transition. At this point in time, it's all about foresight. And there are going to be some things you're going to have to do for the sake of foresight to make sure you are okay at the very least. And at best, so where you have some sense of self-governance. All right. So that's what I'm talking about with the rising independence, or not just simply independence from the standpoint of the now independence, but also being an independent. For me, I used to look at independent from the standpoint of voting, but since independents don't really have a whole lot of power like that, unfortunately, we're still end up going to be facing the wrath of either Democrats or Republicans, or the aftermath, I should say, not necessarily wrath, but the aftermath of Democrats or Republicans. Independent is going to be more about how you're going to be governing yourself, not necessarily from the policies that you choose between either parties, but also making sure that you are able to keep yourself regulated as much as you can by not only taking care of yourself, but having a good, sound, solid community. If you are somebody who is an introvert like myself and you are in need of a community, you're going to have to really step outside of your comfort zone and really get to know people. You're going to have to get to know certain places so that way that you are able to stay abreast with information and stay abreast with certain skills that you may need. All right. You may have to know some people who are from a different culture or mindset or understanding, especially if you're somebody who often hangs around in just simply one culture. I know for like YouTube, everybody kind of stays in especially among Black people that I see, everybody tends to stay in one area where they have a like-mindedness. Um, you're gonna have to be around people who are gonna have to think very, very different from you, very differently from you, so that way that you can be able to have some knowledge or some skills or whatever the case may be to put yourself ahead for the future. It'll be very important for you to be more independent. Okay, please do your best to be more independent. What's the kid says, Kev, I'm around Justy. I'm not trying to get to know anyone. Well, try to do your best, Kia, to be around people who are not Justies. Even if that means you got to drive a longer distance somewhere, you want to make sure that you're around somebody who is just not familiar. You want to be around people who are yeah, right. You want to be around people. Give me a moment, God. My computer's kind of trying to freeze. You want to be around people who are going to challenge you. If Dusty's not all right, there we go. All right, I'm back, y'all. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what was going on for a second there. But you want to be around people who are going to challenge you, who are going to challenge your intellect, who are going to challenge, the things you may know. For me personally, I've been trying to be connected. Well, not necessarily connected, but I follow the channel of Ramit, who is I Can Help You Think Rich or something like that. I learned a lot about how people handle their personal finances, and I'm trying to learn from that so that way I don't have those same issues, or having or being in a state where I can have a vision, so that way that I know what I want my money to do for me for my future, and just to be having a personal vision for myself. What is it that I need to do to make sure that I am okay, right? That not just to be okay, but really have a strong sense of legacy and a future. I think again, one of the problems with the whole American dream thing is that we've kind of taught people that they have made it, when the truth of the matter is we could be in any given time in a state where we haven't made it because we just bought into an ideal. So you got to be able to know what it is that you are wanting specifically for yourself, right? So looking at that particular channel has helped me to figure out what it is that I want for myself. Even with the people that I listen to, as far as either music or even for listen to like sermons or something like that, I go to people who are challenge me to have either more conservative approaches or to have a much different approach from how I need to view things in the way that I am growing, right? The key thing is to be around, even if you got to travel or even if you got to go to a different website or do a different channel, be around people who are going to challenge you to grow and become something more than where you are right now. If Dusty's aren't doing that, Kia, then you can do that in other ways. I think for Black people in general, because we are so used to our existence linked to suffering, we have to be around people who can teach us about success. I was looking at a website where it shows us in pretty much in everything when it comes to money, even when it comes to medium income households, we're at the bottom. So we need to start learning from different people how to navigate through money and how to navigate household income, so that way that we can start having some different results. Or even when it comes to careers that we choose and things like that. Those things are very important. So we gotta start being able to be around people who are in the capacity of helping you to be more independent. Even if it's just homesteaders. And like recently, I've been looking at homestead channels, not necessarily partaking in that yet, but it has helped me to look at the work ethic of people who do homesteading, the mindset that they have, because they have to be hands-on with animals and the barns, which is always in constant maintenance. They think differently because they always have to be in a state of preparedness. So those are things that would be very helpful for you. Even when it comes to like things with medicine, or things when it comes to exploring social opportunities, or even being challenged with things that are happening in different parts of the world. These things are very important, you all. It is very important for you to know how to educate yourself, and if you can, be in positions or be in locations where you are applying what it is that you are learning. It may seem like it's very small, but big things can happen in small packages. Big things can happen in small steps. So I'm encouraging you all to really do those things, okay? So that is going to be it for my chit chat. I hope everybody was able to learn something from that. And I know it's kind of like I hope I did my best not to ramble. I kind of shared some personal stuff, not everything, but some personal stuff. And I just really want people to really start looking after themselves. From what I've been seeing a lot from this, from government, especially what happened with the strike and with FEMA, it would really help as much as you can to be around people who will require you to be more self-reliant. Now more than ever, I think it's very, very important, because I'm seeing how things are being prioritized, and it's not looking too good. It's not looking too good for the average citizen. So I want you all to be okay. I want you all to be safe. But most importantly, I want you to be empowered. I don't want you to see yourself as a victim. I don't want to see you as somebody who is at a standpoint of feeling as if you're lost, or be put into a state of anxiety because of your own personal issues or things that are happening within your locality or within the country or whatever. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be wise. I want you to be smart. I want you to do certain things that require you to be someone who is responsible for yourself, and even responsible for the community and locality that you're in. All right. So that's it. So also I want to say that I think I have a layout for my channel. So my goal is to try to have videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where I'm speaking on different topics. And then Saturday I have my chit chat video where I speak about something, and they have people come up to share some things. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is going to be more from the standpoint of sharing a lot of things about what's going on. Like for next week, I'm going to be talking about Agenda 2030, the UN, and how certain things that we are seeing plays a role in that. It's a more perverted sense of that, but it's kind of trying to work towards that idea of having certain things in place by 2030. And it could be some other things that come up along the way, but those are things that will be happening on those days, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then Saturday we'll just be talking, just like with the topic that I have for today. All right. So thank you all for tuning in. Remember, if you like this video, hit the like button so that way that it can do better in the algorithm. And if you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that way you are alerted every single time there is a new video. Now, with that said, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to put this in the trash. This is my Zaxby lunch that I had. I had the chicken finger taco that Zaxby has been offering at this time, and I got some pink lemonade as well. So I finished all of that. So I'm going to be testing that out as I make my way back home. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Kia. I really appreciate that. And also, if you have not been familiar with anything that's going on with my channel, make sure that you are able to follow through with certain things that we've been discussing. There have been some technical issues, kind of like what we've been seeing here, but no worries. If you're enjoying the content, trust me, that will be able to override some of the issues that you may see. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. See you on Monday. See you next time.